Welcome to Social Media for Creative Libraries. My name's Phil Bradley, as you've probably guessed, and what I'm doing is producing a series of videos that supplements each chapter of the book, Social Media for Creative Libraries. Lots of reasons for doing this, partly because I think it's a fun thing to do, partly because when people talk about if you're writing books on the internet, well, surely it's out of date before it gets started. So the idea here is that I can update, change and amend the videos to supplement each chapter as and when it becomes necessary at some point into the future, to ensure that the book has a more longevity than perhaps it would have done previously. The videos that I do will be a variety of different types. This first one is basically a straightforward playthrough of a PowerPoint video, but there will be other different types further in the series. So settle back and I hope you enjoy the videos. This first one is going to be looking at chapter 1, the introduction. When I talk to people about social media, they very often will refer to the tools. I'll say, give me some words or some names, and they'll say things like Facebook or Twitter or what have you. And yeah, that is social media, but equally that's like saying, give me some gardening words and talking about trowels and shovels and rakes and things of that nature. There are two elements here. One is the tool, the other is, the much more important to my mind, the activity. What is the activity that you want to do? And this book is really based on activities. Do you want to communicate with somebody better? Do you want to change the method of communication that you have got? Do you want to promote or market or teach? Once you've decided what the activity is, you can then look at a variety of different tools that will help supplement that. So in some respects, I'm not going to be teaching you or telling you anything that you're unfamiliar with already, because you already know about communicating with your clients, patrons, members, users. You know how to promote and to market. But what I'm going to be doing in this series of videos, and indeed throughout the entire book, is giving you in your creative library an option to look at some of the different tools and things that are available. I like using this example. It is a rather freaky young lady, but that all adds to the fun. And this for me really comes to the core of what I've been talking about with regards to activities and tools. So if you're using Facebook, you're talking about, I like cupcakes. It's a communications tool, and you can write quite a lot to really explain and expound on what it is that's of interest to you. That's like sitting down with a colleague or a client that you've got and having a fairly in-depth, interactive, backwards and forwards discussion. On the other hand, if you're seeing somebody in the corridor and you just want to say something very quickly to them, you might want to make use of Twitter. Both Facebook and Twitter allow you to communicate, but they do it in very different ways, with Twitter, of course, being limited to the 140 characters. We've then got Pinterest, and Pinterest is a social network that is based around the concept of sharing images that you find. It's a different kind of social network to that we've seen with something like Facebook. So if you've got lots of images that you want to share, it might be just to inform people, or it might be to promote or to market the resources you've got. Pinterest might be a good tool to enable you to undertake that activity. If you're on something like LinkedIn, while initially that was designed to give you the opportunity of finding a different or a new job, I tend to find that LinkedIn is really good for having discussions with other colleagues, other experts in particular subject areas. So again, different type of communication. The next one, Google+, bit cruel. I'm a Google employee who eats cupcakes. It's again another social network. Google is very concerned about the inroads that Facebook is having onto its user base. I find Google+ useful primarily for the communities that it's got available, but also for the opportunity to use Google Hangouts, which we'll be looking at later. YouTube, second largest search engine in the world based on the number of searches per month. Watch me eat lots of cupcakes. Increasingly, we have a visual component to the kind of things that we're doing. And if I want to know just about anything these days, YouTube is one of the key resources that I will go to in order to find out what I can do about that particular subject. Next one down, looking at music. Well, there may be possibilities for music, but I think what's also interesting here is that social media is allowing us to regard things in a very different way in the future. I don't, for example, go out and buy CDs any longer. I don't even generally tend to download music files. I will use a streaming service like Spotify. So I don't have a requirement to have the original artifact. Think that I like to talk about, called the attraction of the artifact. We no longer need to do that in quite the same way that we did in the past, be that for music or for books when we've got access to our ebooks. Next option down, Delicious is the icon there. I'm collecting cupcake related links. This is an area that we can really use to expand on when we're working with social media tools, because we can use things like Delicious or Daigo as a way of guiding people to the information that we want them to be able to have. The last one there, WordPress. I'm blogging about cupcakes. Again, this is an opportunity for you to communicate with people, to have discussions backwards and forwards via the comments field that you have available. It's an opportunity for you to sit and think through clearly what you want to say about something, and then produce it and make it available for people then to be able to read. We're going to be looking at doing two very different things when it comes to social media. One of them is what we've always done, which is to consume. We've always used the internet to consume content. We go to a search engine, we do our search for what we need, we find the information that we want, we then take it away, thank you very much, to our search engine, and we use that information for whatever purpose it is that we want. However, what we can increasingly do is we can create our own material. This is one of the really big changes that I've seen with social media. We don't need to know how to create websites and put the information up online and wait and hope that a search engine is going to find that material. We can create our own blogs. We can create our own groups on Pinterest. We can go on to Facebook and we can talk about what's of interest to us on Facebook. We can go on to Twitter and we can live update people with what's happening to us. So it's very important when you're looking at social media tools to regard both sides. Do you want to just simply consume the content that's available via that tool, or do you want to use that tool to be able to create content for yourself? If we're looking at something like Facebook, for example, it's got 1.25 billion monthly active users. 72% of all online adults will visit at least once every month on Facebook, and there are over 50 million pages on Facebook that are available to us. So if we're looking at things like the tools and the way in which we can create content, we really do have to start thinking in a very different way, because there is a huge amount of data that is now becoming available for us to make use of. If we're looking on Google+, 540 million monthly active users, and that's 20% of online adults who visit monthly. Google takes a bit of the brunt of a joke here for having a fairly pointless social network, but as you can see here, it's not quite perhaps as pointless as you might have previously thought. There is a lot of people that make use of it. If we run something like Twitter, we've got 255 million active monthly users. There are 500 million tweets per day. 46% of users tweet once a day, but on the other hand, 44% have never tweeted at all. That doesn't mean that they're not actively using Twitter, it's just that they are using it in what you might call a lurker mode to see what other people are saying. We're looking at LinkedIn. 187 million active monthly users. There are more than 2 users signing up every second. And LinkedIn has a reach of 200 countries and territories. So if you want to get a message out to people, and for those people to be experts in their area of interest, using LinkedIn is a nice tool to make use of. Looking at Pinterest, 40 million monthly users, 70 million active total users. The dynamic is interesting with the number of users, 80% being female, and 23% of users will use it at least once a day. So it's a very active place to go, and if you need to keep in contact with people, with whatever it is that they're doing, then Pinterest is a good tool. Then you've got YouTube. 1 billion total plus users. 80% of the traffic is from outside of the United States. And you get 104 hours of video being uploaded every minute, which is a figure that I still find quite staggering. That number is only going to increase. When I first started looking at this figure about a year ago, it was 30 hours a video uploaded every minute. So we're expanding out from that. So all of these tools can be used to consume or to create. If you're looking for a good author to read in the field of social media, I'd suggest somebody like Eric Qualman, who wrote a really good book called Socialnomics. And this is one of his famous quotes. We really don't have an opportunity of deciding if we want to use social media or not any longer, because everybody is already using it. It's a question of, are you going to be involved in social media? Are you going to be involved in using social media to support your activities? Are you prepared to get out there and to deal with people and communicate with people in a new, a different and a more vibrant way? If you decide not to do that, that is also a choice. I personally think that it's a very negative choice, but it's a choice that you or your organization can make. Hopefully, because you're looking at this book and reading through the chapters, it's not going to be that much of an issue for you. But nonetheless, we do have to always keep in the back of our minds that we have to go to where the conversations are. We have to go and engage with people, because if we don't, other people are certainly going to be doing that for us. So that's a very brief overview of social media. You can get obviously much more detail in the first chapter, but hopefully that's given you a little bit of a feeling. Chapter 2, I'll be looking at a guide for checking authority and validity on the social media environments that we work in, and I'll be trying to answer the question, who can we trust? Thank you very much.